So, in Dipped in Tone tradition, did you record a track?
No.
The intro track? Remember?
I was when you sent me a message about doing the show, I thought, should I suggest doing a track? And I started to write some riffs in my head.
Right.
But, it just didn't come together in time. But I had some pretty good riffs.
Yeah?
In my head. Yeah.
Can you sing or hum any of them?
There was a lot of some chugs and some wheeze.
Oh, yeah.
Little chug whee, like Gojira.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking, a little Gojira style.
You need to get him a Novo. Make him kick that Charvel to the curb.
Everybody needs a Novo.
That's right. So, hi, everybody. Where am I looking?
There's the camera. We're set up in my office, so.
Yeah, the illustrious grayish wall here.
Yeah, we painted this gray.
Oh, we can turn this light on?
Do that.
This is going to be the most interesting episode of the
it's going to be
podcast
great. It's
so
gonna
far.
Be great. It's going to be
episode
great.
29. I'm here at Novo Guitars with Mr. Matthew Timmons.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
We're having a good time.
Yeah, man. We're ready to talk. We do this anyway.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole idea, right? We talk a lot, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, enough about guitars and what's going on in their world. So I'm glad to be on here as an emergency guest.
So shout out to Rhett. Rhett, I think he's going to send us a video message. So,
what's up, everyone? This is after the crazy week that was JHS Pedals, the musical. I am tired. Tilly is also tired. Just want to make this video to let you know that I'm not going to be on the podcast this week. And I feel terrible about that. But I've given my seat to someone who I trust, Mr. Matthew Timmons. Matthew, I swear to God, if you screw this up, if we have people unsubscribing after your performance on this podcast, you'll never hear the end of it from me. But it's going to be a great episode. I'm sure these guys are really funny. And I'm sure you're going to love whatever subject it is they picked for this week's episode of the pod. And I will be back next week. Thank you all, as always, for watching and listening to Dipped in Tone. Once again, Matthew, I swear to God, don't screw this up. There's a lot riding on this, and you have some pretty big shoes to fill. So anyways, have a good episode, guys.
Wasn't that great?
Oh man. I mean, he said some really nice things about me in that message. That was really sweet. He didn't have to say all that. Thank you, Rhett.
He's living the dream out in Kansas City with Josh Scott playing guitar for one of the most important musicals of our time, I think.
Important and ambitious.
Absolutely. Pedals, the musical.
At this point, everyone has probably watched it already by the time this is going to come out.
It will have already passed.
It'll already have passed. For our Discord friends, they're watching this.
Yeah.
But the Pedals, the musical, will have happened, and it'll be spectacular.
Yeah. So if you've already watched it, let us know what you thought about it.
Yes.
In the comments, because I'm so curious about what this is going to be.
Yeah.
Because Josh has shared some stories. Do you follow him on Instagram?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I find it hilarious how much he has to tell people that it's real.
Right.
That is incredible.
Well, he's done these fake outs, selling his claw
yes.
for $500,000. And all the other pedals, like he had an old Ibanez Echo machine that was like an obscene amount of money. And it's like, it was all a joke. And then he does this. So I think I understand the community not believing it.
Yeah. Like maybe it's just like a minute-long teaser video or something, but this is full-blown, the real deal, Pedals the musical, and I cannot wait to watch it.
My first thought was like, it's going to be like people like dressed up as pedals, and like literally
that's what it is.
What it's going to be. So
it's going to be like some "Let's go to the lobby," thing with people all dressed up and stuff.
Absolutely. So. I told Rhett my bar is that it has to be half as good as Hamilton. If it hits that bar,
yes,
I think it's done all right.
It's off Broadway. It's off
It's
off Broadway. So off Broadway. But I'm excited. It's going to be great. But I'm glad to be here. This is fun.
Happy to have you.
Thank you.
So We got the Discord chat going. It's hard to see because we both have terrible vision.
Okay.
But
you read some questions on there? Or?
Yeah, well, maybe we'll open up to questions at the end.
Yeah, sure. Great.
And for those that are hanging out. But the idea was, at least your idea, we talk
guitars,
Ghostbusters, and then Destiny 2.
Destiny 2.
And I think that's...
Does that work for everybody?
I don't think it's going to work for most people, but it works for me. And you know what? Rhett's not here. So I think that's what we're going to have to do. So let's give for the uninitiated, which I
think there's people out there that don't. I mean, there's people, everybody knows about Novo guitars.
Right.
There's still probably people that don't know exactly about me.
Maybe about you.
Yeah.
Because I think if you listen or watch the podcast, you know Novo.
The Novo shtick.
Yeah, we've shilled enough for it. So
absolutely.
Tell us about you, Matthew.
Oh, well, what would you like to know? I'm 5'11", 243 pounds.
Okay.
Gray hair, blue eyes, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee.
Tell us about what is your guitar journey? Like, where did you?
Oh, okay, great.
Because I've heard you talk at length about Novo and like getting into the business.
Yeah.
Of Novo, but not about like when you started playing and all that stuff.
Well, my father is an unbelievable guitar player. And from a young age, my dad had me and my brother. He was like 22 years old. So, I was in the garage with him when he was learning how to play Hot for Teacher when it came out.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So like that is like, it's been like, bred in my DNA since day one that this would be my life. Like my dad showed us Spinal Tap when I was 5 years old. We watched Spinal Tap. So
great movie.
Shocking that I am the way I am, that I watched that movie at a young age. So it was always sort of there, right? We were always, me and my brother and my dad sort of went on a rock and roll journey pretty early. And my dad's actually a longtime industry veteran. Yeah. He was artist relations at Ernie Ball Music Man, did sales. He's worked for Lawler Pickups like I have. He's worked at Washburn, he's worked at Mesa Boogie, so it was, always sort of like my goal is to sort of get into that as well. So when I was 19, I started working at Ernie Ball Music Man. My dad was artist relations, and I started doing final inspection of all the instruments. And at that time, Ernie Ball was doing about 100 guitars a day.
Okay.
And so I would be responsible for inspecting them, making sure everything was correct, and then casing them up and boxing them and getting ready for shipping. That's what I did.
When was that? Like what?
That was 2000.
Okay.
So that was 21 years ago.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that was my first job. I did that. I also worked in the sanding department and the wood shop department, and in like parts receiving, different stuff like that. And that was the first gig that I had. Then I kind of moved around a little bit doing sales for like Bose and Microsoft. I ended up over at Lawler Pickups again with my father's there. So it's all nepotism. That's the only reason I have any of this stuff is because of my dad. But I started doing sales and marketing with Lawler back in 2011. And that's where I was introduced to Dennis Fano for the first time.
Okay.
And I started seeing his guitars and I thought they were the best in the business. And I made it my goal then and there that I wanted to run his company one day. And so I worked for Lawler for a couple of years, and then until I heard about Novo. So
okay,
yeah, that's pretty it. I early on kind of knew that I didn't have necessarily an knack for making anything. I did some of the jobs, and I was fine, but I really like this side of things. Doing the sales, marketing, and sort of the creative aspect of it.
Well, there's so much of a business is outside the realm of actually making the product.
Yes,
like to me that's the easy part. Well, maybe not the easy part, but that's the part that it comes naturally to, I think, most people actually creating, pedals or guitars like that. When you start learning, you're passionate about that. But the hard part is like running a business.
Well, and that's sort of, I've talked about this before, but that was sort of the really smart thing that Dennis did was his first hire was me. Instead, normally you would say, well, I'm going to hire people that are going to help me build more guitars. And he hired me first. And specifically because he never wanted to do this.
Right.
He hates this part about it so much that I get to do all these things.
Which is such a shame because he's the sweetest guy.
Yes. And I asked him when I came in this morning, do you want to be on the show? He said, absolutely not. And that's Dennis. But he's just not into this part. So, and this is my favorite thing in the whole world,
Right.
is talking about our guitars and talking about the passion I have for what we're trying to accomplish. So, that was, a goal of mine, to get to a company where I was not just selling something that I just sold because I was getting a paycheck. It would be something I really believed in. And, you combine that with Dennis's design and passion for creating new things. And I think it's like we are where we are because of the partnership that we've done.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And I think Novo is established itself as this brand of cool people who are passionate about the product they make and just love guitar.
Oh yeah.
And I think that definitely comes across in the content and your personalities and all that. And it's like partly why I've wanted to distance myself from so many other brands, because meeting you guys was the first time I met people that like, oh, I know these guys and they make something I really love. And like beyond pedals, like I've met pedal builders.
Sure.
But it kind of flipped a switch in my brain to say, I don't really want to play as many of the big brand guitars.
Yeah.
Because while not to say they're bad, there's just less of a connection that I have with the instrument because of the connection I have with you guys.
Sure.
And that's not going to be the same case for everybody, but it is the case for me.
Well, I feel that way about all kinds of stuff. I mean, one of the reasons why I've gotten into a lot of this stuff is that you get to know people. And with the way that the marketing is now, everybody's front and center. I mean, that's why it's such a bold choice for Dennis to not do it.
Yeah.
Because, it's such a commonplace thing to sort of do as much of that kind of stuff as you possibly can. And I know I, sort of take his place, as that person for Novo, and I'll do it. But, I think knowing that that's a big part of what we're trying to sort of convey here by showcasing the team and the people that make the guitars and sort of what we're all about. That's a huge, that's just sort of how marketing works nowadays.
Right.
And so it is just as big a part of like, you like the guitars, but everybody knows who Devin is.
Right.
If you buy a Novo, you know who Devin is. And so you talk to Devin. If you're ordering a guitar from us, you talk to Devin.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of, I know that that's how that works. And I want it to be that way. The guitars, we as a team have to be as good as the guitars. We want people to like us. Please like me.
Right.
As much as the guitars, because that's how it should work. I mean, and you do an excellent job of that because of all the stuff that you do for your brand. I mean, you are Mythos. I mean, and so you have to get out there and you do all those things. And it's a huge part of that people might go, I like this pedal, or I like this pedal, but I love Zach. Yeah.
And that's something that when I started, sorry, I'm just checking my mic levels here. When I started taking it seriously, and I suggest anyone who's trying to get into this industry in some form or another to really put yourself in it and let people know you. And I adopted the thought that I want to treat Instagram mostly as my personal Instagram.
Yeah.
And just try to show people who I am.
Was that a conscious decision on your part? Like
Yeah.
you said, like, I'm going to make this switch. I'm going to try this.
Yeah. Because I've always been really shy, and relatively private. And so when I first started, the thing that I really tried to do first was doing the AMAs.
Yeah.
And that got me out of the comfort zone of like walking around, like talking to my phone like an idiot. And when I first started doing it, I was at like, we lived in an apartment complex and I would walk the dog and that's when I would do it. And so all my neighbors would see me and it helped me kind of get over that stigma of, putting myself out there. But it's really, I think it's been the thing that's helped me. And it's something that you see more and more like with Josh from JHS and, other pedal builders. But I feel like it's not as common as perhaps it should be for brands to have more than just, their product. They actually have a face and a name behind it. Yeah. And then some people are trying to do that, but
well, it's hard because if you don't have the personality for it, like at all, and you don't want to do it like Dennis, might not be something that you could even do. And then are you going to hire people to do it, or is it just naturally? And I think that it works for us because the stuff is good. Like you can't, if the product wasn't good and we're out here like, singing and dancing, and trying to get people to buy it. And if it wasn't good, the personality only goes so far. You can be like, I really like this guy's, but those guitars kind of suck.
Right. Yeah.
Like it wouldn't matter at all. And so it's the confidence that I have in the product that we sell and the design that we're doing and what we're trying to do that I feel like allows me to sort of get out there and just be myself as much as possible, because I'm not actually selling anything. You know, people want the guitars, and I'm not convincing anybody to buy them. It's just, here they are.
Right.
And here we are, and that's it. And that's really freeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So people, I did a couple on Facebook and on Instagram and some other places, asked like what people wanted to ask you. And a lot of it was questions that I know you're inundated with all the time. But since you guys have shifted away, because now it's only direct.
We since last May, we went fully direct.
Do you have any dealers for
Zero.
Okay.
Zero dealers.
Because I know there was still some like trickling.
Yeah. Well, we had custom orders that were placed that we were fulfilling.
Right.
And we finally, I think, have shipped every single one of them now.
Okay.
They're all gone.
All right.
So it's all direct, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still think, even though, I mean, it's clear to me how it works because I helped make the website.
You did. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that.
But for the people that don't get it, because I think it's still a point of confusion for some people.
Absolutely.
They don't get select, custom, and then signature.
Yeah.
So can you break that down?
Asking the question, how do I buy a Novo?
Right.
Right. If I want a Novo, somebody that's watching this for the first time and has never heard of a Novo, and they say, how do I buy one? How do I get one? And so that's been a question that I've been trying to figure out for 5 years. So what we're doing now is we're doing 3 different sort of series, so 3 different channels that you can do to buy a Novo. The most traditional one, of course, is just placing a custom order, right? And so we have a custom order form on the website with all of the models that we're offering now and all the options we're offering now. And that's just like the classic, you know, I'm going to order a guitar, and we're 12 months back ordered right now, and it probably needs to be longer,
right? Because
it's just crazy how many guitars we have on order. So one of the things that we started this year to sort of try to sort of minimize the wait times and also figure out how to get more guitars in people's hands is we have the Select series. And the Select series is us choosing our favorite models and our favorite colors, and then offering those guitars and then letting people order them. And then it should take 2 to 3 months for you to get one.
Right.
And because there is less, you know, there's batching that we can do. It's the same colors, it's the same guitars, and there's no options. So they all have the same necks, they all have the same bodies. You know, we can make them a lot faster. So we essentially just cut them, and then when the order comes in, we can spray them and then send them out. But the problem now is that we have, you know, we can only have limited slots for Select, and we're selling out when I release the Select slots in 5 minutes.
Right, right.
So the goal of that was to say, I want a Novo, I'll buy Select, and when there's new Select offerings, I can get one, and now that's gone too.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit difficult. I have this grand plan for 2021. It's like, I'll do Select. So when people want a guitar, they can buy one, and now they have to get lucky on Select day. And so it's like, what do I do now?
Well, and even because you guys still, or you were making essentially custom guitars that you would throw up on Thursdays.
Yes.
Like, you know.
So those were all like, so that's an interesting thing. So, you know, the Signature series sort of came out of the idea that, you know, when we're trying to like see, you know, going direct, right? One of the things that we really couldn't do when we had dealers is like Dennis just make random stuff that he would be excited about, because it's like, well, where does it go? We sell it on the website. We have dealers. Maybe they're upset about that. If you have 20 dealers, it's like, well, how many are you going to make? Who gets a chance to get it? Now we can just make a guitar and put it up on the website for sale.
Yeah.
So that sort of turned into the Signature series, where it's literally Dennis specs out a guitar and pretty much makes it himself.
Right.
Now the team still does some stuff, you know, depending on what it is, but for the most part, he does it himself. And it's a way for him to sort of, you know, stretch his imagination a little bit and do models that we haven't done yet, do options that we haven't done yet. And those sell out in about 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think this last one was that. And then the one before it was like 30 seconds.
It's crazy. And so...
where do these people have this internet connection that's so fast? You know?
I don't know. It's like, you have to, like,
well,
everybody knows what time it goes live. So it's 10 a.m. Central Time and I'm sitting there watching the clock on my computer before I hit available. So now we've got these 3 channels, and, you know, one of them people have to wait a year, and the other ones sell out immediately. So now I'm kind of at square one again, where I'm like, these guitars are clearly, everybody wants them, and I got to figure out how to make more.
Right.
And then keep the quality the same, and then figure out how to do that. Because you want to make more guitars, the first thing that has to happen is you got to lose options.
Right. Yeah.
Because, you know, if you offer everything, and just think about it this way, like when you're making a pedal, like say something like like this, right? Every time you make this pedal, you know exactly what it is. Right? Same circuits, same, maybe you change the color or something.
Yeah.
When you're making guitars, that's not the case, right? So if I tell the team they need to make a Saris J, well, they don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
It could be anything.
Right.
How many pickups are in it? What's the bridge? What's this and that? So that's how we operated for so long, which is like you would take an order and no one would know what it was. You'd have to look at the spec sheet. So things get messed up a lot when you do that because there's no way of knowing. Now with the Select series, those guitars are standardized.
Right.
And when you offer less custom options, we still offer 60 colors. You can get 12 pick guards. All of that stuff is sort of where we wanted to go with custom distress levels. But, we needed the guitars themselves to be like, this is what a Saris J is. This is what a Saris TC is. And for a long time, nobody even knew. The model's names meant nothing.
Right.
So as you grow, you have to make those kind of decisions. And one day I would love to have a full custom shop again, where you've got a team that sort of can take those orders and just make whatever the customer wants. But that's a scale that you have to get to where you can dedicate a team to do that. So it's tough, man. Like I want to please everybody. I want everybody to have the perfect Novo. I want everybody to get one when they want one. It's making hard decisions in order to grow. And I think the guitars we're making are as good as ever. There's nothing different. We're not making cheaper guitars. Sort of like if you know what you're making, it's less questions. So
absolutely.
Which is really great. So that's sort of where we're at. And I mean, that's what we're asking ourselves every day. It's like, where do we actually want to go with this?
Yeah.
I
think it does confuse a lot of people. The fact that you have and this is true for me and a lot of people in this industry. When you say something's custom, but you still have a limited option set.
Yes.
But the thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is even though you could customize something, you guys are you're cutting these bodies on a CNC.
We are.
And that has to be programmed.
It has to be programmed.
So if you want a specific body shape with a specific bridge and that's not programmed,
someone has to do the programming ahead of time.
It's a huge step. It's like people asking me like, hey, can I get a pedal with a different feature set? Like, yeah, you could if I had time to design that.
Yes.
But it's not as easy as saying, okay, I'm just going to tweak what's already there because sometimes it's literally not possible.
Yeah. Or I mean, in a lot of little things that change that you might not know, well, that one would require a new pick guard. Right. Or that would require this, and that has to be programmed. And then, so it's like, it's you want to do tools that help you make guitars faster, but then that means that you're going to have to sacrifice certain things. Or I can do a custom guitar in any bridge you want, in any shape you want, but it's going to cost you $10,000.
Right.
Like a PRS private stock kind of situation.
Right.
Which we could do one day if people really want that.
Sure.
It's trying to balance all that stuff out. It's just growing pains, right? It's, people knew us 5-6 years ago, and there was a lot of stuff that we could do, and now it's like it's trying to discover what a Novo means. Like it's just the core idea of what a guitar identity. Because I think that helps too with sales, because then people know exactly what they're aspiring to get.
Sure.
Too.
Speaking about a $10,000 Novo.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Oh, good
about
question.
the people who are selling them at such a premium? Now I know. And I've discussed this at length on previous episodes and with people privately too. Supply and demand. If there's a limited supply, demand's going to go up and that price is going to hike up. But it seems to be some of the pricing is a little egregious, in my opinion. But what do you think, being on your side of the table here? I
mean, I'd say that if somebody's willing to pay the price, then that's the price for the guitar.
Sure.
Now, if it was something that I knew that I would never do again, and somebody really wanted that guitar, say it's a model we've discontinued, or it's a feature set that we won't do again, there might be somebody out there that says, I want that enough to pay for it. Yeah. So that's why it costs that much. Or, hey, I know I can get that guitar, but it's going to take me a year.
Yeah.
And I want it now. You might pay a little bit more for it. So I think it's naturally the prices are going to go up. I just, I think that right now people are sort of feeling their way out there. And I don't know, has the guitar actually sold for $10,000?
Well, I don't know.
That's why I'm not sure. I try to avoid that stuff. Like, I don't really look on Reverb. I get irrationally angry when I see any guitar for sale of ours. I know
who bought that.
I know who ordered that guitar. You know what I mean? Because they're all my
100%.
babies and I remember all the guitars. So it's like, you know, if somebody sells one, I'll be like, oh, okay. Well, man, I really thought I nailed that one. And it's where it comes from. It's like, if I actually talk to the person or Devin talks to them, I thought, man, we really thought we nailed exactly what they wanted. That's kind of a bummer when it gets sold. Sure. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me in that way. I mean, honestly, it kind of makes me think that I should raise my prices more.
Right.
Which I don't really like necessarily want to do because I think we're very competitive price wise.
Absolutely.
And I like being there because I feel like there's a lot of growth potential with that because, you know, I could say, oh, let's price everything at $6,000 because we're sold out of everything. But then when you're not sold out of everything, is the price actually correct? And so I'm looking at long-term sort of, you know, the long-term picture of what that's going to look like. So, but it's crazy, man.
Yeah. And it's happened to me at a much smaller, you know, scale, like selling a pedal, you know, retail for $250 and then people are selling them for $400 or $500, which for a pedal, I mean, that's a pretty big leap.
It is.
And to me, I feel it's bittersweet because sometimes it's exciting to know that people want it that bad, that they're willing to pony up that money. But also I feel bad for the people that want to have it that probably couldn't swing that.
Oh yeah.
And so it's something that it's interesting. And for me being so backed up and being so slow at building, well, I don't feel like I'm slow. I feel like I'm as fast as a single human can.
It's just you.
It's just me.
So that's not slow. That's just science.
But, it is reassuring that even the normal stuff is usually only 10 or 20 bucks below what it retails for. So that means people are still, you know, excited and like it and like think it's worth it.
Well, truly, I will say that like, and I don't think this is probably where you're at. You know, making more product almost has less to do with the idea of like, I want to make a lot more money. And it has more to do with that I feel bad that like people that want the stuff can't get it. Like I want people that want Novos to be able to buy them and buy them for the price that I think that they're worth or is that the guitars are worth. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously we want to scale up, but you know, I've been on, you know, talked about this before on some shows. I think when I did Rhett's show once, we really talked about it a lot. Like, how big do we want Novo to get? And for the longest time, I was like, no, I don't really want to get that big because I want to make sure that the guitars are exactly the way we want them. And I think as we've sort of really kind of grown leaps and bounds, just perception wise and demand wise over the last year, and the guitars in the Select series have been awesome. And we've really kind of figured out how to make sure the guitar is perfect. It's just, how do we make more of them? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we could grow this place pretty big if we wanted to. And, you know, my job is getting so abstract, like where it's literally just me making decisions all day instead of doing anything. Cause it's just, there's so much to manage that I'm like, oh, I guess we could get to that point as long as the guitars are still great. Right. Like that's the number one thing is like, can I make the guitars as good as they are today? And, you know, but I literally like when I get the messages, I tried to get a Select and I couldn't. I wasn't fast enough. I just feel like that makes me feel like I want these people to have our guitars.
Right. Yeah. And that is something that I think a lot of people outside the industry, you know, consumers, when they know you're scaling up and you're making changes so that you can produce more. And I mean, obviously you're keeping the quality there, you know, for you, because you have this wait list to keep the quality and keep everything. For me, a lot of people I've seen, you know, threads about it and people talk about how Zach's, you know, watering down his build to keep up with demand because I've switched things to surface mount. But at the end of the day, I think people still have to trust in the brand and know that, you know, you, me, whoever is making decisions that are right for the product.
Yes.
To keep it where they want to keep it. And speaking of the Select series.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's actually not a Select.
Oh, it's not?
It's not. I did get a custom thing on my guitar. So it is Novo custom.
Well, this is a relatively new one.
This is my brand new Voltor that I ordered. I know a guy, so I was able to get mine a little sooner than you would if you ordered a custom. But this one is, I mean, it's a straight Voltor, except it has a maple fretboard. Right. So the Select series would always have rosewood, but I wanted a maple board on mine because I really wanted it to be a very late 70s guitar, Olympic white with the black appointments and then the maple neck. So it's super cool. Yeah.
It's super like punk rock.
It is extremely punk rock. I told the team I wanted it to look like you could have found it in the bathroom of CBGB's in 1979.
Yeah.
That was the goal of the guitar. So It rips, man. The Voltour is like, that was something I was asking for a long time.
Mhm.
It's one of the fun parts about my job is that I can go into Dennis's office and say, this is what I want you to build.
Right.
Please do this. Like, try this out. And I wanted that style of guitar for a long time because I always loved the ones he used to do in the past, the PX6. And so we'd been like thinking about when were we going to drop that on the Novo brand for quite a while. And then, you know, with Dennis, it's when it's ready when it's ready.
Right.
Like, he'll work on stuff. I think he's probably got maybe 20 or so models that he's working on at any time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of my job to sort of sort through them and say, like, what do we think we want next to sell? And so that was one I really wanted next because I wanted something that was really aggressive, really punk rock, sort of like, you know, took us out of the offset territory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Slightly.
It's still an offset, but it's not like a Jazzmaster offset. It's
Right.
very, you know, sort of, you know, aggressive rock and roll feel to it. And I think we nailed it. I think people are really going to like them when they start rolling out. The select ones are finishing up. The first ones are finishing up this week.
Nice.
So we're shipping some out now.
I did get a question on Instagram. Somebody asked about where would you place Novo sonically compared to the most iconic guitars?
Okay.
Because to me, like,
Well, you have two, right?
I do have two.
Yes. So you can speak to this.
You know, like my Ceres is essentially, it's the TCS, which it's discontinued
It
now.
is, yeah, which is super
Sad.
smart that you have a very like a very front facing guitar for us, and that I shit canned it. Sorry, everybody.
It's exactly what I wanted, and to me, it lives somewhere in between, like the throaty punch of a Les Paul, but the taut focus of an SG, with a total different resonance because it hits totally different than all my other guitars. And the Solus, the F1, is, I think, a little, it sounds a little more familiar with the Tele style bridge and pickup, of course.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of it. But I feel like the Ceres does do a different thing, especially the humbucker ones.
Yes.
Because you're still making the TC.
The TC, yeah, it has a chopped Tele bridge
Yeah.
instead of the wrap over.
Which is the closest you get to what I have.
Yes, we still sell that. And it was a tough call. That was sort of, as we were looking at, you know, the orders that were placed and the guitars we made, it was, you know, way more of the chopped Tele bridges.
I didn't sell enough.
Sorry,
enough.
you just didn't push it hard enough there, Zach.
Damn it.
It's hard. I think that one of the goals that we have is to sort of like be as versatile as possible and not sort of fall into any sort of category and say like, oh, I mean, obviously we're bolt on maple necks. So,
right.
You know, there's definitely a Fender, you know, connotation there, Fender and, you know, G&L, Music Man, all the Leo stuff. And that's sort of Dennis's main loves is those mid 60s, you know, Fender style guitars. And so that's sort of what we're going for. But then when we start adding, you know, scale, like 24 3/4 scale lengths and wrap over bridges and humbuckers, you're obviously getting into totally different territory. And what I really want our guitars to be is just as versatile as possible. So they can sort of cover all that ground. So you get that throatiness, but without any mud, right? Like you get snap and you get high end without any ice pick or any you know, overly brightness. It's like it's really the goal is to say, can I do anything I want on this guitar?
Yeah,
that's what we're going for.
There is, of all of the ones I feel fortunate that you know, I live nearby and I can come and I think I've played most models.
Yeah,
not every permutation. I don't think I've played all the Mirus, you know, bridge variations and stuff. But there's a clarity and an immediacy to the guitar. And the whole thing, you know, they resonate. And that's something that's
a huge part of what we're trying to accomplish. I want the guitars to be super loud, acoustically.
Oh, I've done live streams just strumming my Ceres and people ask what I'm plugged into. And it's just like in my lap.
And that's where we're starting, is that concept of like that acoustically the guitar has to sound good before electrically it'll sound good. So it's like, that's somewhere place we start. And I know it might seem like a little bit of a cop out to say like, oh, we want it to sound great in all situations, but you know, that's sort of like, you know, the way we approach it is that we're not making any copies of anything. We're not trying to make copies of anything. Obviously they're inspired by different stuff, but we're not saying, well, we're just going to make our version of X, Y, or Z. So when you get into some of the choices that we've made, that's sort of the idea. And also as we move forward, like, you know, we have sort of that tempered pine, tempered maple neck on the Cereses and on the Mirises and even the Voltour. Now what we're exploring a little bit is like, well, with the Signature, we're trying out more swamp ash and Spanish cedar and stuff. And now we're trying to see, is there something we like enough to where that'll be a standard model?
Right. Yeah.
Where we're like, this is different enough than what we're doing. Here's a tonal range that we're not getting with what we're doing now. And can we go there? And that's a stark sort of difference between the original concept, which is, it was one body shape with all different pickups and all different bridges. And now we're trying to like see where we can go with that and say like, okay, are we going to have an all mahogany guitar? Are we going to have a, you know, an alder body, you know, can we do an all rosewood guitar?
Right.
Like where does that actually work? Where like, this is, you know, a good, like, here's an alternative. So I'm like, someone actually can come to me and say, this is what I'm going for. What should I get?
Right.
Where I'm like, I don't know. You can kind of cover it with all. Which one's the coolest?
Right. Yeah.
To you?
Like,
what bridge? Do you want a
shape?
trim or do you want to? That's sort of where now we're trying to go in that direction with stuff. And that's exciting with Signature because we just sell them.
Yeah.
They're all like, it's almost like prototyping, but you're finishing a real deal guitar.
Yeah. The last one, which we'll post a picture. I saw the teasers for it. And
yeah, Dennis is feeling himself a little bit.
I like it.
He started, you know, it was a little bit of our original idea was to like have it be completely, no one knows exactly what the guitar is. Mm-hmm. But they're selling so fast. Clearly people are buying them no matter what.
Absolutely. They have to be.
They have to be. So the idea now is to sort of like tease them out a little bit. So, I mean, we're probably like, you know, I was looking at the calendar this morning for Signature and, you know, we're probably like 8-10 guitars deep at any time. And so we move them around depending on sort of, you know, where we're looking. But it's becoming a really fun part of our day is to see that kind of stuff coming through and getting to see Dennis sort of in his element, you know, when you're designing guitars and you're once you've done it and then here it is. And now we're just going to make a bunch of those. It's like the fun part for him is kind of over. And it's like to have that alive by getting to do these guitars really sort of revitalize that process. So you're never done.
Right.
You can just keep going and going like, well, let's try that. And it's really fun for me to say, well, why don't we try this? We've never done this. It's like, oh, well, let's do that. And I always for myself try to push it in a direction of something I want to see in the main line. Mm-hmm. So I want it to be like sort of like, hey, I really want to see this, or this is what the customers are asking me for. It's like, you know, so let's try that. And then let's maybe see if it'll work as a select guitar for next year or even just for anything. Yeah.
Well, cool. I'm going to put it on the record here that when you do a flame top of any shape or style, like I want you just, you know, to just give me a ring before it.
Well, so the funny part is that I think all the maple tops we've done so far have been just plain maple.
Yeah,
we've not done a flame top yet. So
I'm such a nerd for that kind of stuff. I love flame tops.
I've never been a fan.
Never?
I've never been a fan.
No.
I mean, it's part of the reason why Dennis and I clicked is because like it's sort of like
boner flame top, Dave Jordan
oh
just
my
said.
Gosh. I will never live that down. I will never live that down. Boner flame forever will follow me around. But we're like kind of more into the plain. Like I have a PRS McCarty that I got and oh my gosh. Oh, Dennis just walked by and showed us a Signature that he's working on right now. That'll be for sale next Thursday. It's ridiculous. This is my day. This is what I have to deal with. I have to go like, Dennis, do you really want to tease the people like that? Because that's another fun part of it is that he'll be like, oh, I want to do this. And I'm like, everybody wants that as a main model. You're going to make one and piss everybody off by saying like, everyone's going to want that guitar. So it's a fun thing. I will say this is that we also, I'll do a little breaking news here for all the people that are watching this. We are working on currently our first like full, like limited run Signature. So we're going to do 8 pieces of one guitar. So like right now we've been doing.
Is it a new shape?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it is something that we've never made before.
Okay.
So it's a wood that we've never used before, but we're going to make 8 of them. So there'll be a Thursday instead of 1 guitar available, there'll be 8 and they'll be all identical. So we're trying that out as well. We've got like 4 of those planned for this year.
Oh man. And
they're pretty cool. And I know it's really exciting because we're trying to look at it and say, you know, how can we, you know, try different things, you know, to get more guitars out there. And it's like, well, if we can make all the same, it's sort of like, it's easier to do. It's like, you know, you're doing all these Signatures and it's all spec'd by Dennis. and all of it, so he has to shepherd it all the way through. But if we can do one where we can just cut 8 bodies and then order all the parts, it actually helps to make them. I mean, this is
Right.
you know, it's manufacturing 101. So we're going to try that out, and I've got 4 of them scheduled for the year in each quarter, and so we've got one coming up that's going to be cool.
That's exciting.
And that's not even the base. We're finally making the base.
I know.
too.
I gotta get that. I'm working that Switch thing. I don't know.
Are we doing that?
I don't know.
I forgot you were working on a top secret thing for the base.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's too much. It's crazy.
So
Where are we?
We're 30-ish minutes in.
Oh, this is great. People are still watching. People are enjoying themselves.
People are. No, so you said we're gonna divert from the guitar talk, and we're gonna talk a little Ghostbusters. Because
okay,
Rhett's not here.
He doesn't want to talk Ghostbusters with you.
He probably would, but he doesn't like it.
He's
like
too young.
I do.
He's too young.
Yeah, he's probably a little.
He's a little younger. I always forget that Rhett is like 10 years younger than me.
Right.
I'm 40. I'm a man, and I'm 40.
36.
I have no idea how old you are.
I'm 36. 36.
You could be like 27, 28.
No.
Yeah.
No, look at this white in my.
I guess I never really noticed that before.
Yeah. Oh
so.
man, this is because of the pedal thing. Like
Yeah,
the
you're
past
getting there.
Yeah.
Success, man. I mean, that's why. Look at this, Santa Claus over here.
You got the white button.
Why am I?
chops.
I realized that I've been wearing my mask under my chin. I'm so used to it when I'm in my office by myself to do this whole thing. So you wanted to talk Ghostbusters?
Well, you said you had some things.
I have hot Ghostbusters takes.
Oh yeah, hit me.
Well, we all know how you feel about Ghostbusters.
Oh, I'm wearing a Ghostbusters watch. Like literally the watch they wore in the movie. It's like the same watch that they had.
That is it marketed that way, or you just saw the watches that they were wearing and decided you wanted one?
It's a Seiko M516 voice note, and they wore it in some promo material, and Ray wears it in a few scenes in the movie.
That's
and
great.
I found one on eBay, and I was like, you know what? It's been a good year.
You are a Ghostbusters man. So I'll tell you this.
Ridiculous.
So that's my wheelhouse. Like I was like 5 years old when that movie came out.
Right.
And as a kid, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But there was a point in my life in like the late 2000s, maybe, I had decided that Ghostbusters sucked. I swear, I was like a take of mine. I'm like, you know what's not a good movie? Ghostbusters. You want to know why? No ghosts. They trap one ghost the whole movie.
Well, no, that's not true.
They want Slimer, right?
Well, they get Slimer, and then there's the montage. The montage.
We have Slimer and then a montage, and it's like there's like a skeleton and there's like but there's like where's all the then the end like with Gozer and there's no ghosts, right? So I was like on this jag. I thought I was being real funny, like everyone's into nostalgia, and I'm like I'm gonna be the grumpy guy that's like posted on Twitter. Ghostbusters sucks.
You
No
know, walk in the Hot Topic and be like, don't buy this shirt because that movie blows.
And then I don't know, it was a couple years ago. I watched it again on TV, and I said this movie is incredible and it's genius, and I have no idea why I thought that.
Well,
and I can tell you why I changed my mind, but I was like, it was funny. I don't know if it was just like a mid-20s like social media, like I'm gonna decide to not like something kind of thing. But I watched it like a year or two ago, and I said, oh no, this is incredible. This is incredible.
I mean, like, I think the reason that there would have been more ghosts, but this budget.
Yeah.
And 1984, like, filming in 83 or whatever.
But I think it was like, I think I finally got to the age where it's like you like Ghostbusters as a kid because what a great concept.
Yeah. And
then I got to the point where I was like, oh no, this movie's amazing because Bill Murray is incredible.
Oh.
It's like he should have won the Academy Award for the performance he did in that movie. It is like so good how funny he is and how perfect it is. It's incredible. And I think I just never as appreciated it as much until I watched it, closer to the age he was in the movie. And I was like, oh my God, this is so funny. And I just absolutely loved it.
There's so many things. And as someone who's watched it, my entire life, I had the VHS, I watched the cartoon, then, the movie.
The real Ghostbusters.
Real Ghostbusters.
Yes.
And, the second movie was the first movie I ever remember seeing in the theater. Mm-hmm. And I remember where I sat and how I felt and everything. But it's just a fun going into business, like, buddy movie. Yeah. And one of my favorite things about it is they start and end the movie fundamentally the same. No one learns a grand lesson.
No, nothing.
That, that don't grow as people really. They're more experienced at their job, but that's about it.
And I think this was part of like one of the main takeaways that I had that I decided I really liked it is because movies that are made nowadays are made like kids movies are made for kids. And that was like a movie that kids liked that was not really made for kids.
Right.
Like Ray smokes the entire movie.
Well, he gets a ghost BJ.
He does. And I just, you just didn't think about that stuff. And I'm like, no wonder, like, this is because they'll never make movies like this again. This is talking about like Gremlins and Ghostbusters, that Temple of Doom, like the mid 80s, where we got all those movies and I watched all of them as a kid. And like, all kids movies are Harry Potter or Marvel now.
Right.
And they don't make stuff like that anymore. And so I think I appreciate more that we got to watch stuff like that was like, I was a kid and there was enough stuff in there that like, all the jokes and all the different stuff that I would slowly get over the years as I watched the movie. And and so I did a complete 180. I went from, actually Ghostbusters sucks to like, oh my God, this is like one of like the greatest, like not even script, like it's just them just hanging out.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
it's so near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
And that and Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
I saw Ghostbusters 2 was my birthday movie when I was like my 9th birthday when it came out. Like I could go see whatever I want. And that was like same summer. It was like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Batman were at the same time. And I chose Ghostbusters 2 as the movie I saw. So I was that guy. And I think there was maybe something about rejecting, those things where I decided I wasn't going to like it anymore.
Right.
But I've come around completely.
Man.
So
well, that's funny. That's.
Do you think I was just going to go on an extended rant about how I didn't like the movie?
No, I didn't think, because like I've never met someone that felt like you felt now, like still like I've never met someone that genuinely doesn't like Ghostbusters.
I think it was just sort of, there was this idea that like it was trying to like sort of, I don't know. It's like, it's probably a really good like topic question of like, performative internet outrage and the idea of like, I'm going to be the person, everyone likes this thing. And we, that are people our age, it's like Ghostbusters is such an iconic thing that it was kind of like, that was probably just doing that.
Right.
And then people still do that all the time. That's the idea, is like, everybody likes this thing, I'm going to be the guy that says that it sucks.
I tend to do that. I don't know if I do that intentionally, but I do avoid things because everyone's talking about them. And this is true for like guitars, movies, everything.
Well, I think there's a difference between that and being active about it, right? Like, I don't know, if someone doesn't like, here's a great example for us. It's not a newsflash if you don't like distressing.
Oh, yeah.
But our guitars are distressed, and we offer non-distressed guitars. You can buy them, but people still feel compelled to post on our Instagram, I don't like distressing. And I'm like, why? If you don't like it, just don't comment.
Yeah, like, why are you here?
I don't comment on guitars. I don't comment on every PRS. Flame maple tops suck, bro. Yeah. Like, I could go on there and be like, flame tops stupid, bro. I don't do that. And so I find it really interesting. It would be one thing if we didn't offer clean guitars.
Right.
We offer Extra Light, which is our version of that, where we don't do any distressing on the guitar. The parts are distressed. But that's just like kind of like, it's like a closet classic.
A closet classic VOS sort of
that idea. Yeah. So if you want that, you can get it. So I find it hilarious when people feel compelled to say that. I
mean, it's like walking into like an Indian restaurant and just screaming, I don't like Indian food, and like leaving. Like, it's like, there's no one would ever do that.
Yeah.
So why do you feel compelled to do that on the internet? Because I mean, you're just a keyboard
warrior. No, it's one thing
if
it's like an independent, like source, like a guitarist magazine or something else that's talking about a guitar, distressing, yes or no.
Sure.
You chime in there and say, no, I don't like it.
But having a conversation about
it. But it's on our page. It's just bizarre. And I never delete any of that stuff because I want it to live out there and breathe. So, if people want to comment on there or come out, I always let it ride because I wanted to just see where it goes. If people decide that that's how they feel about it.
That's one way to go about it. Dealing with internet.
Are you a deleter? Do you delete?
It depends on what it is. If it's outright hateful,
if it's like hate speech, or if it's
not even that extreme. I mean, obviously, for that. But like, if
someone drops a Heil Hitler on the gram,
where did that emoji come from?
You're like, might want to delete that one.
But just someone being just an outright jerk, I'll delete it. But most of the time, I just do like the shoulders, like I don't know, sort of.
I just try not to comment at all, and then I mean, if it's depending on what it is, I mean. Instagram is actually pretty civil for the most part, I feel, comparatively.
Yeah. For the most part.
Yeah. We don't do Twitter. I actually don't do real Facebook very much anymore. Like, we used to post on Facebook, and I kind of lost the plot over there.
It's all tied to my Instagram. And honestly, like I have a Twitter, and every post I make on Instagram goes to Twitter, and I log in and it says, you have like 200 notifications. I'm like, oh God, and I just log out.
Well, you're just doing it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I still do, all social media for us. And there's going to be a point where I can't do it anymore. And I don't know when that's going to be. Just a tip for everybody out there. Don't send me an instant message on Instagram because I never look. And I'll try to answer them, but I always forget. And it's like 3 clicks to get over there. And I feel really bad. You just email me, sales@Novo or Matthew@Novo, and I'll answer your email.
I get messages on there too. And most time, I try to be as active as possible, but I'll say, email me, because they'll say, hey, I have a repair question, or, I have a serious thing I need to talk to you about, and let's send it on there. And then within a day, I've gotten a ton of just responses to stories or whatever. And it's buried so deep with that purple stuff.
Yeah.
So we're about 15 minutes left.
That's it. Was it just an hour show?
It's an hour. Well, I mean, we could push it a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like if you say that, then we go like 25 minutes.
Oh, I know. I understand. It's nice and natural. You just
Yeah.
keep going. We're having fun.
Just leave the stream on.
Just leave
all
it
day.
on all day.
People are going to see all the secrets.
All the secret stuff,
So do you want to talk about video games, or should we avoid that and keep it on the guitar?
Ghostbusters was probably
that was
enough.
deep enough.
All I'd say is if you play Destiny 2 and you're on Xbox, hit me up, because I'm on there every night. I've got a 6-month-old daughter, and she goes to bed at 7, and then my wife always falls asleep about 9. So I usually just play video games at night. And so if you're on Xbox, you want to play Destiny 2, I'm on there, and that's what I do.
Living the life.
I mean, I probably should go to bed. Everyone jokes. Everyone asks me.
How late do you stay up playing games?
Midnight.
That's not that bad.
When then the baby gets up at like 10. Oh, there's a Destiny meme. Like it. The baby gets up at like 6. So I'll usually 6 hours is plenty for me. I drink a lot of coffee, and I'm naturally like this. Like I'm naturally like, I walk in the morning and I'm like,
yeah,
because I'm just jazzed. So it's like, I mean, I probably should like play guitar and write songs and record at night or something, but
why?
Why? I'm trying to write that intro, Have you hey, wait, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Have people submitted? Have people tried to submit intros for you guys?
There have been a few, and some of them, like they're good ideas and stuff, but it's like,
it's a good bit now.
Well, we legitimately plan on doing this, but
it's not just an extended joke where you're never actually going to do it.
Well, I mean, like
you don't want to blow your spot if you're going, whichever way you're doing. Don't tell me. But.
We definitely want to record an intro, and it's something that, like, honest to God, I sit down and I try to do it, and nothing comes. It's like nothing happens. But for me, I can't try, or it's just never going to happen. And my day.
Mm-hmm.
If I had a moment where I could like sit down and like, hey, I'm feeling relaxed, I'm going to sit down and, do something for myself. I don't really want to have to do that because it's work.
It's still work. I mean, that's a hard, you don't want to be like, man, feel sorry for me. I have a hard job, but like, you kind of don't want to do guitar stuff at night because like it's my whole day. And it's sort of like, you kind of want to just get into something else.
Right. And that's why, the like building my Proton pack has been a fun release and playing games. But for me, even when it comes to listening to music, I can only ingest so much guitar.
Yes.
Before I'm like, I just want to listen to a TR-808 make a drum beat for like an hour. I'd rather listen to that than hear some bluesy pentatonic, shredding.
Which is great. It's just like you said, like when it's your job, it's sort of like it's still work, and no matter what, you need to have a different outlet.
Yeah.
And I just decided mine was going to be Destiny 2. What can I say?
I think people sometimes, they'll ask me like, what guitar album are you listening to? Who are you listening to? And I say, well, I'm not. And they take it as me like not being interested in it. And that's not true. It's just the burnout of, because I'm hearing pedals and guitar like
all day
constantly. And for me, my favorite content is like vlogs, like that pedal show, just talking about, hey, I'm swapping pickups in the Strat, Rhett's tour vlogs. Like those are interesting to me because it's like all part of the community, but it's not, hey, here's this new thing and here's how it sounds. Like I don't, or when it comes to like listening to music, just hearing, not to say that there isn't amazing playing happening, that I should be tuned into. It's just hard for me to get excited about it.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's like a lot of it is just timing. You know what I mean? Like you used to spend a lot of time, commuting or doing other things or home alone, and when you've got work all day and then you get home and it's family time and then relaxing time, it's tough to like really get into stuff. I mean, I used to love like when I had like commutes, that was my time, you know, listening in the car and stuff. And so, I mean, I have music going on all day in my office, but I'm kind of that way too, where it's hard to like really dive in. And so a lot of times it'll be not super guitar-y stuff that I get into for that reason.
Yeah.
Because you want to listen to some other stuff. So
I've discovered I love video game covers of
classics
of just, all the NES, Super NES stuff, Genesis stuff. And I've discovered a band. They're called MES, Mariachi Entertainment System.
Yeah.
And they do mariachi covers
of all the classics.
Of every, everything
that
from...
sounds very high concept and very fun.
Oh, it's great. Everything from NES to like through PlayStation era, like PS1 era. And it's like, it's my happy place when I'm working, like listening to like Zelda theme in a mariachi band. I'm just like building pedals, like, all right.
I tend to like, in a lot of those situations, like, when I was in school, I listened to a lot of instrumental stuff in order to like, when you're working, that's like usually the best stuff to listen to. So you're not like feeling any kind of, you're with the melody, but you're not suddenly like listening to, Gojira. And there's a lot of yelling and a lot of, you want to do stuff like that. So I always like the Aristocrats for that. I love those guys. Guthrie Govan and Brian Beller and Marco Miniman. Like that's if I got to work, I'm put on the Aristocrats.
Okay. Yeah.
That's like kind of how I go.
I think for me working, the less lyrics, the better. Because it does distract. Totally. I want to like listen to it.
Yeah.
So
Three Amigos. Another classic.
Yes.
There you go.
So trying to think of any
other questions that people
let's
had?
open it up to Discord. So if you guys have any questions for Matthew, please drop them real quick. We have a little bit of time left.
That t-shirt.
Oh yeah. Show off that sweet swag. When are you going to get some more of those hats?
Which hats?
The hat you're wearing.
Oh, this is the prototype. We haven't actually made any yet.
Okay, someone on Facebook thought it said no because it looks like from far away.
Well, we did like here. This was I'm wearing the prototype, and then here's like the actual finished version.
Okay, so it's
considerably bigger, so you can actually see the Novo. But we kind of went a little bit crazy with the merch. We did hoodies and we did another hat color and we did mugs and we did the Voltour shirt. So we're kind of like, just sort of selling through everything for a little while before we decide to do this hat.
Sure.
So eventually we'll get to it. If everybody wants to buy a bunch of merch today, then we'll get to that a little bit sooner.
Hey.
I think we're sold out of mugs, actually. I think we need to order those,
Link in the description below.
So that's what I am wearing the Novo hoodie as well. So I thought it was like one step too far to go with the Novo mug as well. So
not on this podcast.
not on this shilly podcast.
The shilly show. Dave Jordan asked, how do you get the layered finishes with the Nitro?
Oh, that's great. So that's probably one of the few sort of I would say proprietary, like we don't talk about kind of situation. I can
so done. All right.
There's the end of the question. No, what I will say is that like mostly it comes from the pine itself. So the pine has a really great grain pattern, and we sand the guitar specifically to raise the grain. I will not say how. That is what we don't discuss. But we do that, and then it's the lightest nitro finish possible, so it sinks in. So you've got a sand where it's like it's smooth, but like it's intentionally make sure that those ridges and stuff like are prominent. And then when we spray the guitar, it's the lightest amount of finish possible. Then when you go in there and do the distress, you can distress it around the grain pattern, and that's why you get such cool distresses from us, because it's based around the actual grain of the guitar. And so that's sort of our goal. It was actually just a happy accident. Dennis was starting to use the pine and started sanding it and just decided to leave the grain up.
Sure.
One time, and then we sprayed it and tried to see what would happen, and it was cool.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, well, we like this. This is super rad. And I really like it too, because essentially what it means is that every finish is translucent. So even if it's a solid color, even if it's a sparkle, a metallic, you see the wood. So it's always reminded that it's a guitar.
Yeah.
It's always a piece of wood, which I think is really cool.
And if you don't believe how thin it is, go watch the That Pedal show where I'm on it.
And you chip some out?
I flipped my Ceres and scratched the finish right off the side of it.
I did it the first time I got my very first Novo, which is my TCS that I have. See, so I canned my own model. And the first time I put it in the case, I caught the zipper on it and went, and I was like, because I got an extra light. Like, it was so beautiful. I was like, I'm not going to get it distressed. And I took it literally the first time I put it in the case. I did it.
Do you bring it back to Dennis at that point and say, hey, like, let's just beat it up a little bit?
No, it's actually been kind of nice having a guitar I got it and it'll be 5 years. And so I've had it for 4.5 years to see the wear on it. Like
right.
The patina on all the hardware and just sort of how it wears. It's kind of nice to have a subject.
Right.
You know, and the only problem is I'm not a sweaty player. Some people are a sweaty player, and so their guitars get gnarly right away. And I am not that way. Because I remember, like, you know, seeing Rhett stuff, and Rhett, he's a little sweaty.
Yeah.
He put a lot of distress on his guitars right away, even the ones that were already distressed. And it was nice to see those ones come back too and see just like all the new, you know, nicks and all that stuff. So
it's amazing how body chemistry really affects the guitar's finish.
Oh, absolutely.
Calcidas asks, are you ever going to make a set neck Novo?
That's a really good question.
Because there have been the prototype for the M1 Solus was a set neck.
The prototype Solus M1 is a set neck, and it's in Dennis's office. It's sort of the photo of that guitar is on the signature page.
Yeah.
It is like the proto signature. It was the idea of like, here's a guitar that Dennis wants to make, and it was sort of, maybe this will turn into the M1, and we decided to stick with pine and maple and the bolt-on when we decided to make the M1. Part of it is that, like, when you start doing set necks, it changes a lot of the manufacturing process.
Yeah.
When you glue it in, you got to get a lot of clamps.
Oh yeah.
A lot of clamps.
All the clamps.
Just every clamp. You got to buy a lot of clamps. And then how you finish the guitar changes, and then any issues you might have with, now that the guitar is actually glued together. So it's sort of like Dennis is like more like not as super interested in doing those, because it's sort of like it's a huge like change in our process.
Yeah.
We like the idea of the set neck as far as like the types of guitars that are set neck, the woods and the pickups and tilt back headstock and all that stuff. So you might see us make basically a set neck guitar, but with a bolt on, meaning that we'll do everything that like would be on your typical set neck, but we have a different. Now, if you're an old school Novo person, you remember the Sectus?
Yes.
Where we had the Cyclops bolt. And Dennis liked the Cyclops bolt because he felt like it was as rigid as a set neck. So you get the benefits of that. So we might revisit that.
Okay.
We might revisit something like that. And I'm never going to say never. I would say that there's a possibility of signature or a signature run being a set neck. But, I'd say that like, right now, we don't have any plans to introduce anything, as far as a production model.
Well, it's so different than doing a bolt-on neck guitar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
what I would say that the more likely scenario is we decide to venture out into that world and we like hire a different team. Like we build a space and hire people and say, you guys make these guitars. That kind of sense. Situation instead of like cross-pollinating. So that way you could focus on it, and those gals can get really good at making those guitars.
Do you think that they're with a guitar that is uniquely shaped?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, because like to me, I think people have connotations that set neck is so much different than bolt-on neck, and I think when it's done well, either is going to like. I'm trying to think like,
is there one that's like a better technique than others, or sonically?
Do you think
is there
it
a
yields
difference?
like if you made two of the same guitar and one was a bolt-on neck, one was a set neck? Would it
same
be
exact woods?
Same woods? Would it yield that different of a result?
I don't necessarily think so.
Yeah,
I think there's probably some theories as far as resonance, vibration. With the woods being glued versus being bolted on. I'm sure that somebody like Paul Reed Smith, who's extensively done both, which again currently manufacture both, probably has videos where he's talking about this. And I would defer to Paul in some of those ways. I think for Dennis, like part of the thing is that like you want to experiment with those kind of things, and if you're not necessarily going for a different sound, like you like the sound that you're at, and you can accomplish that with the bolt-on, then doing a set neck. I mean, I don't know what we would say like, all right, we're not getting this. And are we going to accomplish that by gluing the neck in?
Right.
I don't think that that's a thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a difference enough there. I think that the pickups and the bridge and the scale length and the woods are probably going to do more work there than that. Now, all of it together, you take a Strat and a Les Paul, they're so much different. Then there's going to be a difference in sonically. So that to me, I'm sure there's been plenty of videos about that. And it's nothing that, Dennis and I think the way I would approach it more is there a vibe or a difference in playing? Like if you're holding a set neck guitar versus a bolt-on, do you feel differently? Is there some energy that makes you play and express yourself differently? Like I have this Voltor. I mean, I just want to rip, bro.
Right.
Versus my
F1. This is 24 and 3.
Yeah. And you've got a double black bob and bridge, and you've got this very angular, muscular shape. I play way differently than on my Solus F1,
right?
Which is a Tele bridge.
Sure.
And so that to me that's the place that I think that Dennis and I are exploring, which is like, what do we want to make that makes you like play differently and feel differently, not just the sound. It's like, where do you want to go with that?
Yeah.
So I would suggest that to people. Like, is there a different vibe? Do you feel differently playing a set neck? And it's like hard to say because the guitar is completely different. You're playing Les Paul versus the Strat, of course, because you're like, my Jimi Hendrix and my Jimmy Page.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
you already have an idea in your head. So one of the things that we get to do, because we're not making copies of anything, is sort of try to create those vibes ourselves.
Sure.
And where do we piece those things together and say, here's what we want people to feel? Because I'm hoping that like on a Voltor, we might get a different crowd.
Yeah.
People that would be, maybe you like, Mastodon and Sleep and like a little bit more aggressive music, and you've never really seen our guitars and said, I want that. But you see that body shape and you're like, well, that's sick.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where we're, trying to go. Maybe a current Novo fan might not be super into it, but are we going to get new people that are like, that thing is bitching and I can use that for my, like slowcore doom metal band.
Right.
You know what I mean? That'd be fucking, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right.
There it is. I was trying my best.
I don't think we don't. It's no big deal.
Okay.
The thing I saw someone, I don't know who asked it, but the last thing I think we could talk about is once the pandemic, we get a grip on it, can people come and check stuff out?
Oh, absolutely.
Back to the scheduled visits.
So one of the things that was really interesting is that we had started to discuss the idea of going direct before the pandemic. It was just a lump of an idea, but it was like, trying to figure out like what's the best customer service for what Novo does and trying to get it out there as far as like, what you can order and all that stuff. And the dealers always did a fabulous job for us, but imagine, like our restructuring, like how do you explain to somebody what a Novo is when I can get any bridge and any pickup that I want? It's a hard job for a salesperson. So we would do a lot of the work, and we loved the idea of being in Nashville because then anybody could come by and we could talk about these things. So we would absolutely love to do it. And, I'm excited about the idea of expanding it at some point and having more, direct ways for people to interact. I mean, like guitar shows and, all kinds of different stuff that we're not, obviously all that stuff was put on hold, but I'd love to like do Dallas guitar shows and obviously NAMM and, do all the different stuff where people can actually come out and see them. Cause I know that's a hard thing now, is that like, now not only can I not buy one, but I can't even try one.
Right.
And
and you couldn't try one before anyway, because they were already sold.
Even when we had dealers, you couldn't go to Chicago Music Exchange and play one because they never have any in stock.
Yeah.
So I'd love to get back to that where people can come down to Nashville and hang out, and we've got a showroom full of guitars and everybody can play them. And hell, I mean, one day, have enough guitars for sale that you could buy one at the shop if you wanted to, because they don't sell out in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know when that's going to be, but wow, that would be great if you could come down and you knew we had some here and you could buy one. That would be super cool. Or the opposite. You could come down and you could pick your woods out or craft a guitar. I'd love to get to that point, like we talked about earlier, about maybe getting a full custom shop again one day where people could pick stuff out like that. I mean, that would be super rad.
That would be great.
Be able to do that. So like you get to do.
Yeah.
Zach.
Well, I'm not the norm, I guess.
Oh, it's
Did I pick out the wood for my
You did.
Saris S?
You did.
I did?
No, Devin did. You picked the wood out for your F1.
I did.
You did get to do that.
And I think I picked it out for the TCS, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, you were here.
I was here.
I mean, awesome. I think if people are into that idea, I would love to be able to do that again one day. It would be super cool to do that.
It adds a lot of more personal connection to the instrument.
Absolutely. And I think that it's that's what I want to do. It's like I never want to take anything away because I'm like, well, screw everybody. You can't get what you want anymore.
Right.
It's the opposite. It's like it's figuring out how to get this place to a point where everyone feels good about, what they can get. And then if I can bring any of that back, right? Fender Custom Shop exists to satisfy a certain client. And Gibson Custom Shop, private stock PRS, all that stuff. Like we want to do our version of that, and that version right now is Signature, and unfortunately, it's one guitar a week maybe. But we hope to as we grow, to figure out a way to do all kinds of different stuff for people. So yeah,
I think I hear the Jack by AC/DC.
That's
maybe not.
That's probably, if you hear music that loud, it's Dennis sanding. So if Dennis he's sanding,
he sands and it makes music.
I mean, I think so, man. The stuff's great. No, he usually that's his on Fridays. The rest of the team isn't working. We do 410s. So on Friday, he's usually back there doing something, and he'll crank. It's usually AC/DC or Boston, Def Leppard, Pink Floyd, Blur or Radiohead. That's like all Dennis stuff. Dennis is great. I always tell him, he's always like, I'm so glad that you do this stuff. And I'm like, you're so great.
Yeah.
So one day I'll probably start a podcast, and then hopefully I could probably have a hard time booking Dennis on my own show.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how he is. Like if I started a weekly Novo show, it would be like a get if I got Dennis to do the show.
Right.
That's how he is. So.
Wow. I think we always end the show with the shill of the week.
Shill of the week. I mean, we've been pretty bad already, haven't we?
Yeah, but
we've got that bad boy.
We've got this.
When's that for sale, Zach?
This is going to be released March 15th. This is I don't even know if you can see it on the camera here.
Can you see it?
This is the Mythos Oracle, the analog Echo. This is the new delay pedal I've been working on for
since I met you.
Yeah. So the original version was going to be a digital thing with modulation and stuff. And I decided, you know what? That's not me. So
it's beautiful.
Hired a designer to do a full fat analog with the tap. And the cool thing about it is so it has 600 milliseconds on the knob, but you can tap longer than 600 milliseconds.
Wow.
And then the signal starts to fall apart and it just goes like, but it's cool.
That's
and so
a feature, not a bug.
That's right. So when you're doing the oscillation, you can go really fast and then really slow, and it just completely falls apart.
I have to admit something. I have no idea how to use delay. I'm terrible. No, I know how to use it, but I mean, like actually incorporating it into my playing. Like it's like I'm always so like enamored with players that like can do the soundscapes and the timing and all the beautiful stuff. I'm just so ham-fisted with my playing. I'm never really good with it. I want to be good with delay, but I'm not that player.
I always have it kind of sitting beneath what I do.
Yeah.
And the tap, while you can kind of like sync to what you're playing, but it's not precise. There's no MIDI connection. There's a tap out jack.
No, so it sounds more my speed.
Yeah, like it's Bonehead Simple. It's going to be $259 from Mythos dealers only. It's not any special limited edition. This is going to be.
Are they doing pre-orders or are they ready?
They're going to be some ready, and then dealers everybody's got a few on order.
Okay.
And so they will hopefully, if they don't have them yet, they will be getting them soon. It's obsessed my life.
I'm happy that it's finally here.
It's finally here, and
it's so great.
I don't know if the color is going to come across, but it is.
It's beautiful.
It's called Barbie Pink.
I love it.
And it's
that one's
interesting.
That one's mine.
No, this one's mine.
Oh, it says It
says mine.
It says mine.
That's me. Mine.
But if you hand it to me, it would say mine, and it could be.
It would be, but
that one's yours.
Yeah, sorry.
Not mine.
I'll get you one. I promise. Okay. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to check out our Patreon, $2 a month. Remember to subscribe, like the channel, review us on Apple Podcasts and all those things. And thanks for hanging out. Any last minute things you want to say?
I'm sorry that I spent an hour talking about my company and you can't buy a guitar.
It's all good.
It's terrible. I feel terrible. It's just going
to continue the fervor.
Yeah. Well, it's, we'll have selects back up April 5th. 10 a.m. So
mark your calendars.
Mark your calendar. They've been selling out in about 5 minutes. The slots there. So,
what is your most popular guitar?
Saris J by far.
Yeah,
the Saris J, which this is the Rhett's guitar, the Burgundy Sparkle. That's the most popular. 2 P90s and a Mastery. I think it's the most popular guitar because it's so different than what most people have. You know, if
Yeah.
you're a Jazzmaster person, obviously that trem is something you're familiar with. But a lot of people, it's great because if you got a Strat, you got a Les Paul, you got a 335, you got a Tele, the Saris J is right
That's the one
there.
to get.
It's right in the middle there. It does so many different things, and it's like nothing that you have. So it's clearly the winner.
Get in line, and hopefully you can get one. But thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.